This one's kind of cool too.
Well, that's cool. I like it. It's very trippy. We're live.
Or like this.
Oh yeah.
This one? Okay, so it's 2 colors. Red, dark red.
Oh, dark red.
Dark red. There would be like actual.
Well, what do you think of that? What do you think of that, guys? We got us a real live intro. We're slowly moving on up to the east side. That's right. Welcome, everybody. This is GNS. We're hanging out with our buddies. We got Spencer over here to my right. Say hello, Spencer.
Hey, guys.
So we also have the lovely Lipsticks and Leaves, Lindsay Sanford. We're going to be talking about what concoction.
Sorry. Get on the ball.
You can just leave out the today part. It's fine. It's a good sense. We're drinking some interesting drinks that we'll have to discuss with you guys about, as we also will have our good cigar. It's the beginning of Mardi Gras weekend, so we're in various stages of excitement and or hangover. Just kind of letting that get out there, but it's all good.
I'm feeling okay. I went to bed very early last night. So feeling okay.
Good deal. Good deal.
I went to bed at like 9:30 last night.
If you haven't already done so, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. We appreciate the support. Drop a comment, like the video, share it, start some shit with your friends. You know, if they're smoking acids or something, you can be like, look, I know this guy, he says you're full of crap, and you can link him to the show, and I'll be like, hey, dude, smoking an acid, you're full of crap. I don't know why, but that's just what we do for people.
Someone smoking an acid burning.
Oh, see, he said it. He said he's supposed to be the gentleman.
He's supposed to be the gentleman.
See,
not
it's good cop, bad cop, John. It's not autistic cop, dick cop.
I will say,
right?
I will say, in defense of acids, they are long-leaf cigars made by hand. And I would much rather someone smoke an acid than a Swisher Sweet or a cigarette or a
for
blunt.
sure. I mean, I feel like if you start out with like swishers and stuff like that, it's like the next step into like premium cigar culture.
Yeah,
It's the gateway drug to good cigars, basically. Because
acid is a gateway drug.
Chris Hargrave, I'm sure can attest.
I was about to put him on Front Street.
Wait, Chris smoked acids?
Chris smoked acid. When I met him, he smoked acids. And I still managed to be friends with him despite that glaring personality flaw. But we went to work on it.
I have to cut in here. I'm going to stick to my guns. You smoke acid cigars. There's something wrong. They're not sugar canes. They're crappy cigars. To a real cigar, come on.
Well, sure.
Let's be honest.
But if you're going from like no cigar experience to starting, it's a very small jump to go from candy cigarettes to an acid. You know, so it's an easy way to lure newcomers in. So I get that. You know, it was never really my thing.
Yeah.
Because I was born with a penis, but you know.
Well, I will say that.
You know the truth is out there.
Yep.
Look, all I did, that's why I painted on Lindsay's face and everything. She's like, I was like,
1,000,000% my face all the time. I'm just like,
no.
Okay, let him talk. Let him talk.
I'm sorry. We're just talking smack. We're just talking smack. You know, if you like acids, we support you. We just want to support you away from us because we're smoking good shit. And
we support you so much.
God, we're gonna lose our 2 fans. Also, we got to thank our friends up north, the Not Generally Cigar Smokers Online magazine. Their link is in the description. They just celebrated their 2-year anniversary. Go check them out. El Presidente, Chris, and the First Lady Susan, good friends of ours. They just released their seasonal 2022, I believe, calendar. I was a little upset that my pictures didn't make it in. They said I was too gangly, that it would just make people uncomfortable.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. I wanted to be Mr. December because of the winter solstice. I brought my own obelisk, but
it's just a miniature version.
that's a really esoteric dick joke.
Yeah, I was about to say, like,
Yeah,
where are you going? I was like, oh, I know where he's
It's like not a full-size one though. It's very.
Oh,
It's a really small one.
wow. All right.
Miniature version. It's
All
like-
right. Woo, tough panel today. So, Spencer, why don't you tell us what is new at the merch hall?
Yeah, so new at the merchant. So a few things. First off, we are going to be getting the Placencia Year of the Tiger in.
Yeah, I mean, we can, but can we turn that off?
Yeah, sure. Let me go turn that off for y'all real fast.
Sorry, everybody.
While he's doing that, we'll do a little Lindsay time. What are we drinking today?
We are drinking a passion-fruit whiskey smash.
And how does one make such a libation?
Such a libation. Well, first I started with 2 shots of good quality whiskey. This time I used Bibb and Tucker 6 year.
That is good
It
stuff.
is a very good. It's not even $50 a bottle. I think I got it for like $46 at Total Wine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was.
Very affordable.
It is. But it's very, very high quality. Really, really great. Anyway, so I started with 2 shots of that. 1 whole lemon juiced.
Just.
Smashed.
Some simple syrup and some passion fruit syrup. And
Wow.
I shook it all up. And shook it in.
Y'all missed the sugar part. Sorry. That's for the
audience did not miss the sugar. I kept the camera.
we're gonna put that behind the paywall. If you pay us $5 a month, you can watch the sugar videos while she makes the drink. Also, speaking of really bougie drinks, if you want to be a hit at parties, put a straw in your cocktail because then you'll have a tubal libation.
Oh my God. Why do I like? There's some. Oh my God. I can't even I still love you despite that joke.
I could like sense her pain.
This is unconditional love right here.
Spencer was speechless. He was just
No
like,
joke.
he's just like, I wish I'd have made that joke.
I don't think that's what he was saying.
He wasn't. Was not. He was like, man, I wish I had.
All right.
that joke.
Before we go into the cigars, we do have another event coming up soon at the merchant. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, so on March 11th, we are having our poker night.
That's right, baby. Our monthly poker party.
And why are we having it on the second Friday instead of the first Friday, Alex?
Because March is special.
March is special.
Because I'm not going to be here.
Why aren't we going to be here, Alex?
I'm going to be somewhere else.
Where are we going to be?
I feel like you're kind of leading me to say something here. I'm not gonna. I'm
You're
gonna.
so insightful.
I'm gonna
Is
be
it?
You're getting a vasectomy?
Is it March?
another one. The first one worked so well, I wanted a double.
This time we're taking the whole obelisk off.
Caitlyn Jenner treatment.
You're right. Boom.
No, I'm going to Houston to play in a Horus Heresy event because, in case you didn't know it, I'm an autistic geek. And this is what we do. So
You had a whole fucking show on it. You outed yourself, buddy. You came out of the nerd closet like on the 3rd episode.
well, I'm sorry. I saw John come out of the closet. And I was like, I gotta come out of a closet. So just kind
I know,
of.
you came out like the
under the
3rd
bus with you, bro. I'm over here keeping it myself, not making it.
We're in this together, man.
He's like, no, we're not.
Y'all came out of the closet together.
They came out of the
Shut
closet
up.
together. John is.
I used to at my sister's wedding.
I'm not a woman anymore.
No way.
Anymore.
Anyway, it's March 11th. If you're going to be in the Acadiana area, you should definitely come check it out. It's a great poker night. It's a lot of shit talking. Lindsay prepares the cocktails. We cater it. It's a phenomenal night. There's cigar specials. You meet some cool people.
You get to steal Alex's money.
You get to steal my money. Yeah, because I am the master of getting a massive chip lead, and then when the blinds start getting ridiculous, I slowly lose the whole thing. Basically, I'm like the Spanish Empire. But
Makes me so.
that was actually a really
happy.
good historical joke. But sorry.
He really just said he's like the Spanish Empire.
Well, they had all the gold, see, so they had the most powerful empire.
And then
But then they slowly
all.
lost it all because they didn't have good trading like the British did. Hi.
Where
Anyway,
you learn about cigars and about esoteric history through the use of puns.
Those puns are not
Anyway.
puns.
okay, they're saying we're echoing a lot
They're echoing a lot.
in the booth. The comments say our audio is echoing.
Okay.
Echo,
Here we go.
echo. It's because my tits are out.
All right, Spencer, tell us about what we'll be smoking today. It's a pretty stick.
Okay,
Not
so
gonna lie.
so right over here is the Roma Craft CroMag. So this is a Connecticut broadleaf Maduro wrapper over a Cameroon binder with a pure Nicaraguan filler. It's going to be more on like the fuller side. It's going to be very rich, very smooth. But I guess I'm not going to spoil it for y'all. Let y'all find out. It is
Well,
not an
I've had this
acid.
before. It's not an acid. It is full-bodied.
Yes.
I would say it's full-bodied. I will say that I've heard from some people whose names rhyme with Mincer that this is similar to the Liga number 9. Would that be correct?
It has some similarities, yes.
There you go. So you heard
Similar wrapper.
you heard it there. So let's go ahead and cut this bad boy. Also, if you can see at home what we're using, I brought my new present for us today. This is my Prometheus Magma T-Torch.
Please, let's talk about how we got this.
So,
because we haven't done a show since we went to Houston.
okay, so we'll have to talk. So this torch, I first laid eyes on it in Vegas at the Casa Fuente shop, and it was an amazing cigar shop. So many great things, but they also had some beautiful merchandise. They had this Opus X torch that was like $500. They had some really, really phenomenal looking things. Well, I was there with my buddy Chris, not smoking acids. This is a different Chris, who happens to also have the same name.
Wait.
Different.
Oh, I thought you were talking about that, Chris.
Yeah, I am. I'm just being facetious. So he's in front of me at the line, and this torch is for sale. And I look at it and immediately get excited, and he can tell I'm visibly excited because he's looking there, because that's what he does. And he goes and buys it because it was the last one. And then he just, for the next 2 months, constantly rubbing in my face that he had this, and we looked all over. I think Lindsay called the dealers.
I literally called every single Prometheus torch dealer in the country.
Yeah, couldn't find it anywhere. Tried to get it over here, and y'all got a ton of other Prometheus torches, but not this one with the actual graphic on it. So I was super forlorn that it was never going to happen. And then 2 weeks ago, we were in Houston doing a little cigar trip and went to Stogie's on Westheimer. You guys need a cut? John, need a cut?
No, thank you.
You're good?
No, I'm good.
Okay. And this was at Stogie's. And so we were there with Chris and his wife, Angelique. So I distracted him while the girls went and got this and bought it and stashed it with my stuff. So Chris didn't know that I had it. And then I pretended to steal Chris's torch there that night and say this was it. And then when he checked his pocket and found that he still had it, then that look on his face of pure dumbfoundment, it was pretty awesome.
It was delicious.
It was subtle because he normally has a look of dumbfoundment. This was like a profound dumbfoundment.
I think that my favorite part about this lighter, though, is it barely ever works.
It just takes a lot of juice.
It's literally the most finicky lighter I have ever seen you have.
It's like
so
it's like German cars. They
Dude,
look nice,
right?
but they barely work.
It's
like Audis, right?
And that's right. And it comes with instructions that say, "Oh, by the way, if this thing just craps out or all doesn't work, try this." Like, really? Who does that?
My goodness.
Wow. So right off the bat, intense broadleaf.
Mm-hmm.
You there's no doubt about it. You know,
Do you notice the Cameroon in it?
is that the dark chocolate aspect of it? Yeah, I gotta like the lipsticks and leaves.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
No, the Cameroon's gonna have more of that sweetness, more of like a tanginess to it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like if I had my eyes closed, right off the ignition, I would say like this reminds me of a Tabernacle broadleaf or a Liga 9.
Mm-hmm.
I don't smoke too many broadleafs outside of those.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's not as many out there. Typically, more of the Maduros you're going to see are going to be San Andreas Maduros.
Which is what I like. Okay, they're saying it's the same.
No,
We're
it's
working
good.
on it.
It's good. It's
It's
fine.
good. You fixed it? All right.
See?
You
There's
checked
no
it?
echoing.
It's like a little bit actually.
Oh, the pairing is interesting. I don't know if you guys have tried it, but when you taste it, the
It's echoing because you're.
the sweetness really comes out. Yeah, you're probably picking up. Yada 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 yada. All right. So John, have you had this one before?
Yes. And this is I think this is a phenomenal. I mean, if you like that mocha, like latte type smoke, that's it.
Oh wait, latte?
Mocha.
Not latte. You know,
More like a mocha or like a dark coffee,
like
black
dark,
coffee.
Yeah, like a dark.
This would pair very well with black coffee.
This is like a sledgehammer cigar.
Sledgehammer?
It's very sledgehammer. Like it's just like. See, I smoke a lot of really, really nuanced, delicate cigars, Davidoffs. You know, this comes in as just like.
It's like.
I feel like as I go to take a puff, Miley Cyrus should be riding it as it comes in because like it came in.
It's more like a Cabernet as opposed to like a Pinot Noir, right?
Okay.
So like where like a Cabernet is gonna have more of like a dryness to it, while like a Pinot Noir is gonna be a little sweeter.
I can dig that.
Or like a peated Scotch versus like a Highland Scotch. And I'm acting like I know what to talk about, but I'm new to alcohol still, so don't treat me like
He
I'm.
turns 21 in 5 years, so
Yes,
that's why he's so new to it.
I'm still 15.
So explain this to me. Why is one of our fans saying? It says Spencer's the only one that's normal. Well,
I think it's because it's his audience.
Maybe it's because I'm not autistic.
I think it's, well, I'm not either.
I'm not-
Neither is John, so. I think it's because
Sorry.
it's the only one that's not. I mean, he's probably the only one that's actually normal, but I think it's because of the audio.
no, it's not the audio anymore. But let me explain something to you. You can't be normal and have a show. Because then you're like mountain, like you're gonna put people to sleep, right or wrong.
Yeah, they're saying.
Oh, no, you're gonna put people to sleep.
They're still saying it. They're still saying it, man.
Let's see.
Okay, so let's talk about Friday night.
Wait.
What happened on Friday night? So right now is
Zoom
my
into me for a
favorite
second.
time of year down here, and it is Mardi Gras time. It is
You're
my
good.
favorite time of
You're
year.
good.
It is so absolutely festive and amazing, and it's just my favorite time of year because you can dress up and you can wear crazy makeup and you can be loud and rambunctious and nuts, and it's just my favorite.
Oh, that's fine.
Well,
I'm
tell the viewers who aren't local. Okay, first of all, Mardi Gras is an entity all unto itself, but most people I think understand the parades part of it. Big floats, throwing beads, but that's not what happened Friday. Tell us about what happened Friday.
Okay, so Friday was Crew de Canaille. Crew de Canaille is the only walking parade in our area. So there's no motor powered anything. Any like vehicle in it has to be man powered.
So like no wheelchairs, no scooters, everyone's walking.
Correct.
It's gonna be unique class.
We're very
like,
anti-disabled
it means,
people,
like
that's right.
bicycles and stuff like that, but it just means like there's no trucks pulling floats. So like if you have a float, it's pulled by like people or bicycles or something like that. And,
Rickshaws, you know.
Exactly. So we also try to give out non-single use throws. So there's not a whole lot of beads or anything like that. It's things that are consumable in some capacity. So trying to cut down on the waste and just excess of beads and stuff like that. So it is, without a doubt, so absolutely creative. I love it because the parade crew, the big crew, comes up with a general theme for the parade, and then the sub crews, they create their theme within that big theme. And it's so absolutely creative. And this year it was the best and worst of Acadiana. And so they had, my sub crew was line dancing. So, and I relate.
Which is the worst of Acadiana,
It's
right?
the worst of
Okay.
Acadiana,
Okay.
honestly.
See, they didn't tell me that. If we had been doing that as the band, I'd be like, hell no.
Yeah, can relate to the worst of Acadiana. I did not grow up here, and so, like, it is, line dancing is just so bizarre to me. Like, I don't get it at all.
Yeah, I don't.
And, like, everybody, it's so weird. Like, people that grew up down here, like, know it.
I grew up down here and I still didn't know
I
line
mean, it
dance.
just
Never line dance in my life. Born and raised.
He's lying.
Never line dance.
I think that's a lie.
No, I've done lines, just not line dancing.
Yeah, he hasn't. You guys like Friday night. But it was so much fun. So the parade route is how long? About a mile, probably? About a mile long.
Based on how it felt, a marathon.
Dude, no joke. Okay, it was like 2.5 hours, and a lot of it was just standing there dancing. And blessing people, apparently.
It's a very sinful part of town.
It is.
So did you tell them our costumes?
I was the flower girl.
So what I love about the Crew de Canaille is, like she said, it's so individualized, and so the sub crews, they all have a theme, and then they all do costumes. And so one of the crews, they were doing the tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, so they all had tinfoil hats on, and they were just cutting up. It was fun. Then you had the folklore of the area, so you had like a rougarou.
Did you already said?
Well, I can guess.
They all dress as Andre.
So there's a.
I see. Yeah, I was waiting for the mouton joke. And I dressed as the Pope. For some reason, I don't know why, but they were like, dress as the Pope. And I was like, well, you realize I'm going to create a scene.
Well,
Because
it wasn't
me,
that
the
we
Pope
asked you
outfit.
to dress as the Pope. We asked you to dress as the priest from Princess Bride. Because we had like, you know, a character for you.
Marriage.
Correct.
Marriage.
But then it turned into Alex being the Pope and blessing the entirety of the city of Lafayette. It was. We walked up and I was like, we're gonna get in so much trouble.
I couldn't keep up with the parade because the people, like, they all wanted me to bless them. And what I told everybody beforehand was that, like, I'm going to put on a performance. I'm going to improv everything, which means every blessing, I'm going to do a custom one that's improv for each individual. And I did. And by the end of the night, it was getting difficult. But I was just going off. People were having a good time. I was a themed Pope. I was Pope Isidic. That was my Pope name. And
If there's a hell, bro, you are going there. Like, you better just like, here's my hat. There it is. Take that. Here's
well,
my
I
jacket.
figured you have to show a vaccine passport to even get in. So I'm going to be like, no, it is, you devil. Sorry. But it was a crazy amount of fun. And there's a big party at the end of it. And so it is the what you think of Cajun culture as being a good time culture. It's just a huge party, and everybody was into it. And you could tell people were ready to be done with COVID.
No joke. I heard so many people over that night be like, I'm so glad to be doing Mardi Gras because like it is just, I mean, it's such a thing down here. Like it is such a time where I feel like I am connected to this city. Like this city is on like just buzzing with energy.
You know what I felt like that?
Yeah.
Seriously, I was never more proud to be a part of this city than when all those things, when the riots were all happening and stuff over whatever, over Trump just being in office or whatever. And our city, nothing. They protested and did their thing. Nothing.
What people gotta understand about Lafayette, is Lafayette's a bubble. So here in Lafayette, we actually still have like a sense of kinship. We're very relaxed. So like basically, as long as you don't mess with. Okay, except during Mardi Gras.
No, we need to hear that story.
Yes, you do.
Except during Mardi Gras, whenever there's alcohol involved, which is quite frequent. People in Lafayette are pretty chill. So like, you know, whether it's masks, politics, or anything like that, people were like, okay, you do your thing, I do mine, just don't be a dick about it. And then also too, whenever we did have some incidents happen, you know, between like the police, with the police and all that, and there were protests, they had some people from outside trying to stir shit up. But actually the local NAACP actually put a stop to that. They're like, we're not going to cause trouble. And then also, just people here are relaxed, they're friendly. Like you don't see friendlier people here. Yeah, it's a great place.
Like I said, I love this town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good food.
I absolutely
good people.
love this.
I want to piggyback up on what Lindsay said, but I do want to ask John. So compare with the 601.
This crushes. I'm sorry, I love you, 601. You know I do. Like we have a romance, but this crushes it.
I was going to say I like this better than the 601.
Way better.
Which one?
This is way
The
better.
Maduro.
than 601.
The Maduro. The blue label.
I could smoke this cigar every day.
How does it compare to that Baroque you smoked, the red one?
This beats it too.
Okay.
You don't think so?
I don't know.
All
I'm
right,
just
so
curious.
before I go to the next cigar question, I'm going to go back to what we were talking about with Mardi Gras. So for everybody watching at home, well, the two of you, really, can you tell us?
What are you telling us? Three.
Well, but that's kind of. I mean, we're
I'm
allowed-
not.
oh,
Somebody's
I am.
talking as me.
Okay,
Which
so
is, I think it's funny.
I want to know it's been 2 years since COVID. How's your life gotten back to normal, or has it? You know, there are people I see that are still like refusing to double mask and quarantine and not do anything. But we saw some friends Friday night, who we hadn't seen pretty much since the pandemic started, because they isolated. You know, to see them out, it was just like this profound, like, oh my God moment. Are we back to normal? And so I want you to tell me, do you feel like you've gotten back to normal, or are you still living in that pandemic mindset? So type in the comments, and we'll chat about it.
I feel like I've gotten pretty much back to normal. Like, there's definitely things that I am more aware of, like people being in my space. I think that is, like, I've never been a person that has liked to just have people like crowd around me, but I think I'm more conscious of it now. So when people are close to me, like I move away from them. So I think I'll be kind of forever changed in that capacity. I know that you and I were talking earlier about if the pandemic had never happened, would our lives have taken this very profound turn? And I think that's kind of interesting. But I mean, I think as far as like our social lives, yeah, I think they're pretty much back to normal. Although, like, my ability to deal with any pettiness or anything that like doesn't like really make me happy, I don't do it anymore. Because I think that the being like away from all of it during the pandemic gave me a lot of perspective about just the kind of energy changes that those kinds of interactions were making on me.
Well, I'll tell you, you used to stick it out with toxic friends a lot longer than you do now. It's like you get those red flags and just like, I'm not doing this.
I'm done.
Dunsies, which I think is great, because I'm all about that, and I've met some great people, and there's been some friendships that have kind of just drifted away, and I'm okay with it. You know, I'm trying to overcome all my issues and do better, and
Yeah, it's like
I love it.
right?
That's right.
This is a nice retro.
Okay, so let's go through, get around to comments. We're in our first third fully, so let's start with you, Lindsay. What are you picking up?
This is a nice little retro mail. I really like that I just kind of started. I don't like to retro mail much through the first like half inch or so because it's a little aggressive for me. But when I get down to that inch mark or so, I like to begin retro mail. So it's pretty nice there. Nice and like bright on the retro, but still very rich. So more coffee, dark chocolate, like very, very like bittersweet chocolate.
I'm still trying to figure out how you paired this so well. Like, what do you do? Like a broad spectrum of like taste buds in your mouth, and then.
See, actually, I didn't. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't pair these two today. I just know that when you're smoking cigars, anything with like citrus or a flavor or palate cleanser is a good idea.
So that's something the audience should know, that like citrus really pairs well with pretty
I
much.
mean, there's also foods and drinks that don't like will affect your palate in such a way, like nuts will.
I get it. Nuts are always going to affect my palate.
But no, like in almonds especially will they change your taste buds' ability to taste the spectrum of flavors. And actually, I mean, I've had some cigars. It took me a while to figure that out actually. But I've had cigars where they like completely changed the flavor profile and made it very accurate. So there's that. But this has citrus and stuff in it, so I figured it's kind of light.
We got an answer. Garrett says that he's tried to stay as close to normal as possible. Never really believed in the mask and still doesn't. Thank you for the response. I think that's a pretty common sentiment amongst locals here. People just have we're not going to mess with it. And I definitely get the feeling from people that they're just done with it. I want to make a couple of comments on this stick. This is my second CroMagnon. The first one, I wasn't super impressed. It was not this particular one, though. It was shorter. It was a Robusto. This one is a little bit longer. And I find that my favorite thing about it is actually one of the things I love doing with cigars in general is you just hold it in your mouth and just gently inhale through your nostrils, and that way you get like a subtle sampling of the flavor, not as much as a pull, but you can actually inhale it. It won't irritate your lungs or anything, and It's a lovely. This one has a great little aroma, and so just holding it in there and just letting it aerate kind of around your face, super nice. This cigar is rich in what I would call base tones because of the leather notes, the earthy notes, the chocolate notes. It's not really. I wouldn't say it's very balanced in that there is not this bouquet of high notes that sets it off.
I find that those high notes only really come out in like the back end of the retrohale.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, obviously.
It's not very
not
vibrant.
Very pronounced, correct.
Yeah.
But I do like the retro because it lends like a little bit of that balance to it. So if you're smoking, you can kind of retrohale and sort of find that other balance.
It's like drinking. It's like drinking some nice unsweetened black coffee or very very dark chocolate.
We had straight espresso this morning because I forgot to buy half a house. It was delicious.
Which is great if you know how to make it. Straight espresso is creamy. It's not a little natural sweet. It's awesome.
Spence, what's the price point on this?
I was just gonna get to that.
Sorry.
Actually,
I got a brain too.
for this size, I believe it's like $11-12.
Which is a perfectly good price point for a stick like this. I would say you can taste it's good tobacco.
That's the same as the 601 right now.
There you go. So I have a question for the panel. Oh, wait, let's go give everybody's thoughts. Anybody else want to weigh in on this first third?
I kind of already did. So
All right, well, let's let our resident expert.
Well, so I'm getting a lot of those toasty notes. I'm getting some coffee, maybe a little bit of sweetness to it, a little bit of chocolate, maybe a tad bit of butterscotch. I forgot to retrohale it. Sorry. So I didn't pick up anything from that. But no, you can taste the broadleaf wrapper. You can taste,
butterscotchy.
yep, and you can also get the hints of that Cameron filler.
There you
I
go.
mean, sorry, Cameron binder, not filler.
I really like smoking with people that have broad palates. Like when we smoked the Royal with Chris. It was really interesting because we were watching fights, but the only thing that we were talking about was like, nobody would say anything when they interject.
I was moaning
Yeah.
mostly. I was moaning. Not gonna lie.
We would, nobody would say anything, and then we would just kind of interject like a random flavor. It was so funny because it'd be like, get it. I like smoking with Spencer in that regard.
But it was funny. Like you would mention a note, I'd mention a note, and then we'd like it would elevate it, and then we'd talk about like all the stuff we were tasting. It was such a cool experience. As much as I love smoking by myself, I love smoking with fellow tasters because they're having the same type of. They're seeking the same. Like as John said last week, he's chasing the same flavors. And that allows you to combine experiences into a better one. And that's really great. All right, let me ask you this, Lindsay. Compare this with the Tabernacle Broadleaf.
The Tabernacle Broadleaf is very spicy.
Yeah.
Very spicy.
More
In fact,
peppery than
it's
this.
like, yes, much more. Like much more sort of red pepper, black pepper, and much more than I really enjoy. Tabernacle Broadleaf isn't bad in any capacity, but it's just not really one I would enjoy. It's not really one I would enjoy.
I can seriously see this as a daily driver. Like, come on.
It's got the price point for
It's
it.
got the price point for it, and it's like it's right there.
That's a big stick. I mean, this will be an easy hour and a half smoke. But I want to ask everybody this one, since it seems like we've all gone through some of the same cycles in our cigar journeys. I know
That's
that
a retro house killer.
my first landing zone in cigars was Maduros. I got into Maduros. When you met me, I was all Maduros, and I wanted and he knew I was all about the BBC, the bigger, bolder cigar. And
Also the big black cock. He loves those.
I didn't say that. She said that.
That's what she
Not
said.
me.
I mean, this is a children's show, Lindsay.
Is it really?
We're all someone's children, right?
We literally hit the button for this is for children as well.
I have been lied to.
But fine. Anyway, but I know that I was all about Maduros. When I'd go into a store, I would just go to the Maduro section. When I would come here, when I was looking for something to smoke to treat myself, I would go Liga, and I would grab like a T52 or a 9. That was my I'm gonna pamper myself stick. Then I watched you get into the Maduros. I watched Lindsay get into Maduros, but we've been doing this show for over a year now, So I want to know, like, where has your zone changed? Are you still locked in where like your favorite is that Maduro, or is it something a little bit different? 'Cause I can say it's different for me. I'm not just straight Maduro anymore.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm with you. I bleed all over the place. There's some
That's an iron issue. That's something.
He's a bleeding heart.
So there's some Connecticut's I would buy 10 times over. And then there's some sun-growns that are out there that I like. So I mean, like, I don't care where I am in the spectrum. I'll eat it all.
Right? What about you?
I like heavy hitting cigars. I find now that I've kind of discovered more than just like darker wrappers that are more than just Maduro wrappers, I prefer those. I find like just straight Maduro.
Can you give an example?
Maybe a little base. Oh gosh.
It's like, take that back, bitch.
The Seguro is very good.
Oh, what the?
Those. I also love. Ooh.
I did it again.
John's having a problem.
Look, I'm sorry. It was me.
Okay.
That's what we were doing. You were just so artistic.
You guys were clearly out. Mine was like,
Thanks, buddy.
I'm glowing.
Just put it all on the
Has
glass.
something to do with that. Whatever.
Thank you, monthly.
All right. What about you, Spencer? Where's your wheelhouse?
So I like to say it's quite broad. So starting out, it was more Maduros. But like because I work here, I have to smoke everything. You know, my palate changes. So for a while, I was like on that Dominican kick, where I was smoking a lot of Fuente, Ashton, like Opus. But then it started to morph into more Nicaraguan. So like think like my father, Tatawahe, Black Label, especially them and all that.
Real quick, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What about pipe tobacco?
Pipe tobacco? Oh.
Like, are you in on that or no?
Before I worked here, I smoked some pipe tobacco, but because I'm lazy, cigars. And pipe tobacco is just, it's different flavors because it's different varieties of tobacco.
Is it more flavoring in a pipe tobacco than it is in a cigar?
Flavoring as in like
I'm talking about like really harsh, like harsh smoke, or is it more?
it's actually depending on what it is. So like if you smoke, for example, you got like whenever you have a pipe tobacco blend, you have like the filler, which is kind of like the baseline. That's usually pretty mellow, and then you kind of like season it with different like Latakia or Perique. If you had one of those like Latakia by itself, which is a smoked pipe tobacco, meaning whenever it's aging, they put some fires underneath it and smoke it like you smoke a brisket. If you had that by itself, you had to be very harsh. But generally, with a good blend, is not going to be harsh at all. But I haven't smoked a pipe in a couple months either. So
Have you guys had? You don't sell it here, but Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, they release cigars that are rolled with pipe tobacco. It's called the Stillwell Star.
well, actually, there's a few other cigars that we do have that are.
It's
No, but
weird.
I want that.
So
I want to try it.
Happy Van Winkle has a Louisiana Perique in it. Also, too, the Fat
Wait,
Bob-
so they actually have the Louisiana tobacco in that?
Yes.
How is it?
It's good, smooth. Maybe a good cigar to have for the show one day. Also, too,
didn't you mention that once? And you gave me a Pappy Van, wasn't it? Like I feel like I bought one.
you might have. I don't remember.
It's been so many.
But,
so many smokes.
Also, another cigar too is the sweet cigar, the Fat Bottom Betty, that wood series, Leather Rose, Sweet Janes. That's actually rolled. That's rolled with pipe tobacco.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, even though I don't smoke sweet cigars, I do enjoy. I would happily smoke a Sweet Jane or a Fat Bottom Betty if it was offered to me. It's a good
Fat
cigar.
Bomb Betty.
It's not technically infused either.
Well,
It's sugar on the cap.
I mean, there aren't too many cigars that I would say no to. A lot of times, if I'm at a place where someone's giving me a cigar, it's because I already have other ones. And so if it's a shitty one, I'll just take it and put it in my other ones and be like, thank you.
That's
give-
why,
to
that's
give
why
time-
you
to
can't
give time.
trust Alex. He'll take your cigar, but this is so amazing. Just give that to his shitty collection.
And then I'm passing it to somebody else. Whatever, dude. But as far as where my taste has changed, I was all heavy, hardcore Nicaraguan Maduro. I really like that. The Le Bijou, the Adrian Quattro, those really the Padrones. That was my wheelhouse for a long time. Got into Black Label, but what started to change is as I developed a palate for Cuban cigars, I started appreciating that they were able to do some things with the variation of the notes that those broadleaf Maduros was missing, because the broadleaf Maduros were just it was like death metal, really intense, really fast-paced music, but a Cuban cigar was more like Vivaldi, where like it wasn't as intense, but it was able to show you so much more nuance in the highs and lows and where it would go from first third to second third. So I started craving that. I started chasing those flavors, and so where I found myself is I really like a lot of Davidoff Dominican stuff, and I really like a lot of Nicaraguan sun-grown. The Ashton sun-grown series, they're all so freaking good. And they're mellow, and I like the ones where it's like I can smoke it in the morning with espresso and breakfast, and then go to work and not feel.
You know where the Ashton sun-grown's grown?
Where?
In the Fuente estate.
In the ground?
In the Fuente estate.
That explains why they sell Ashton stuff out of Casa Fuente.
Yeah, well, actually, so Fuente makes the cigars for Ashton. Ashton distributes them. So all of those Ashton cigars are made by Fuente. And then also under the Ashton umbrella, you got La Roma de Cuba and San Cristobal. Those are made in the Don Pepin factory, the My Father factory, and those are distributed by Ashton. Now, the ESG stands for Estate Sun-Grown. It's the same leaf as Opus. It's Opus leaf.
It's very close. It tastes very similar.
And
I love
think
it.
That's my favorite Ashton, like by far.
By far.
By far.
What about the Symmetry? Where's that grown?
Also by Fuente. I don't know where. Maybe the Fuente estate.
Hey, Spencer, you're supposed to know the answer to everything I ask you.
Well, the thing is,
Damn you!
Damn me, I know.
Why did you
Well, the thing is that all these companies don't tell you exactly where everything comes from.
You're supposed to fly down there and find out. Didn't you know
I
this?
know.
Dedication.
Wait, John isn't doing that?
Job.
Incognito.
Dedication to your work.
That's what makes you so good at your job. John, why aren't you sending him to Nicaragua to find out more details so he can better serve the public?
I don't have a passport.
He's in the back. He's right there.
And he'll need
"Leave me
legal
alone."
representation, so I volunteer to go with him as his lawyer.
And
then
I
we
will
can-
be there just as backup.
Well,
I don't know. I feel like it'd make it riskier because you have obviously you spend more money on cigars means you have more money than me, which makes you a ransom target, which ties me with you, which makes me
Yeah, but
makes
then
it
they would
dangerous.
call and they'd be like, here's the ransom, and be like,
Those people are like, you're gonna have to pay me to take him back.
I was like, no comprende.
I'll pay you.
They're like, we were
I'll
talking
pay you to
English
keep them. I'll pay you to keep them.
Exactly. How much monthly is it going to cost for you guys to keep it?
All right, I want to throw another question out there to the any of you guys. So, as everyone knows who watches the show, Lindsay and I, we're pickers in that we love to travel around,
Pickers.
looking to see what new cigars people sell.
What did you just call yourself?
Pickers.
Picker.
What did you just call yourself?
Pickers. Pickers.
Like antiquers, you go around looking for that rare gem, and we go all over the country looking to see what's popular in certain regions. What is a favorite stick of a merchant, and trying out and collecting it. And so what I want to ask everybody is like, what is a stick that you've discovered recently that you're just like, dude, let me tell you about this stick. You want to start?
All right, so I got two.
Okay.
The Benediction by Black Label Trading.
Uh-huh.
Great stick. And I'm sad.
Yes, it is.
It's a great stick. I'm sad that we didn't get more of them. Because we only found them in Tennessee.
Right. I wonder if we could call and have them ship them over to us.
I'm sure.
It was a good stick. We got 4 of them, I believe. We each had one so far, and now we can't smoke our last one because it's our last one, but very, very good.
Yeah,
What
that was
about-
in the Asian collection.
What-
And so I had two.
Oh, power.
And one that I've had recently that I really like is the Soda Racer Brulee.
The brulee. That was the
Not-
sweeter one.
No,
Huh?
no,
No.
The Brulee Blue
No, the Blue
was
is
the
sweeter.
sweeter one. The Brulee was less sweet. And I agree that the Brulee Blue was a little bit maybe too sweet for my palate, but the Brulee was excellent.
All right. What about you, John? You got anything recently, like a box that got a fire you want to talk
No.
about?
So you guys are gonna laugh at me. but
Factory smokes.
someone sent me.
Factory sweet.
That's not nice. Do I talk smack on you? Yeah, I actually do.
Actually, like so much.
It's this spider cigar. I found it. It's right here. I had to look it up.
I know what
Once you
you're
were
talking
going,
about. It has like a red label on
Yes.
it. Yeah, with a spider.
so
An arachnid of some variety.
yeah, right there.
It's like a Batman stick.
So someone sent this to me. I'll post a picture in the comments later. But let me tell you something. It was actually not bad. It's really good.
Let me see it.
Yeah, we've seen those before.
K.A. Kindle's Spider.
So someone sent that to me, and I was like, at first I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. It was good. It was really good.
Actually, I really enjoy. I am so sold by a pretty label, right? An interesting label, like
True that.
that is, yeah, for sure. That is my design roots, and like
Opus.
so. Not even really opulent, just like well designed, right? So opulent ones, those are great too, but like well designed, just kitschy labels, beer, wine, anything that has a kitschy label, I like. I'm just like, oh, I got it.
What do you think of this label?
I love these labels, honestly. I love these labels. They're like very basic. I love the embossment.
It has a Blair Witch symbol on it.
For sure. Like very cool, very interesting. I don't know if you can see. There's like an embossment on it. It's cool. Anyway, so I'm like a sucker for those kind of labels, and I found some really, really interesting sticks just by that. I'm like, this is a cool label.
Dude, I love the God of Fire label so much. We traveled all over to find George with it on there. So absolutely, I know what you're talking about.
The intergalactic label is pretty
It's
cool.
a
The
little
stars.
shitty. The intergalactic label is great. I love.
Did you get mine in?
What?
I like
Do
it.
you have a problem with what I said?
Oh, wait, no, our label backward.
I do like it. I wish it worked.
Those lighters.
Oh,
I know
that's
my-
That was fine on your cigar.
He's like, shut up, John. I'm getting
You
it.
say that it works fine because you don't want to
Really
admit
great.
that it doesn't.
Really very attacked right now.
Good.
Very
You
attacked.
should. I'm not actually attacking you. I'm attacking your Prometheus.
Okay, counselor, you guys are sidebarring.
And the fact
Why
that
are you attacking
the
me?
fact that they cost like over $100 and they work intermittently.
Oh, hush.
My like $5 gas station one though, every time.
Yeah, bro. What's up with
Oh my
that?
God. Oh my God.
Like how? Like
It's
how?
just hard to fill it all the way up because there's the gauge doesn't show you when it's full. And
See?
But like our kick-ass cigar lighters, like this, are like they're awesome to look at,
I know.
and they barely light.
that
Like
is
then
the
when you get
thing.
like a
I hate it.
$5,
I hate it.
yeah, like
I
what?
would rather.
You want to know what the most reliable lighter in the shop is?
Not
Please.
watch yourself.
oh,
Which
Oh.
actually I just literally ordered one. I was like, yeah, we'll
The
put yeah.
lightsaber ones?
Yeah, I'm like, dude, I
Yours
want
is
one.
Like,
This lighter right here.
yep.
The Vertigo
Tiny little
Cyclone.
ones.
This right here. This lighter is $10, but these are like roaches. They will survive a nuclear war.
They last for-
I have they have a lifetime warranty on them. I have customers like bring them back after like 5 years and say, "Oh, the latch fell off." 5 years later, it's like, "Okay, well, let me switch it out for you." But like these things will last forever. Also, too, another one I have high hopes for is the one we just brought in recently, the Vertigo Crusher. I have bought 3 of them. One of them I lost, so that's why I bought another.
I'll take this one.
And these right here, the Vertigo Crusher, a little pricey, about $30, but good fuel capacity, good ergonomics.
One thing that, yeah, I really, actually, I find that the Vertigo lighters have been my favorite. They're not very high priced. I bought one of the really, really slim Vertigos, the little square, very narrow ones. It doesn't hold a ton of fuel, but it's small enough where I can put it in my pocket and I don't have like this big bulky thing.
Well, I think a good analogy would be like an analogy between like, you know, a Toyota versus like an Aston Martin or something like that. Or like a Jaguar. Where some of these high dollar like cars,
Right.
they're very flashy, they look cool, they're fast, but
They just require a
but-
lot of maintenance.
it will require a lot of maintenance and they might break down more frequently. On the other hand, you take a Toyota, which is like, you know, simply made, sorry, Alex, which is more like simply made, and you look at these little Toyota trucks from like, they're made in like 1970, and these things have like a 2.5 million miles on them.
Hey, until my other one comes in, I'm gonna buy this.
Fucking miles.
Yeah.
So one thing I have noticed though is that nobody believes their torches.
Oh yeah.
And that is such a problem. Like, I had,
My torch isn't filling. Well, I've tried bleeding it.
or, you know, people be like, oh my gosh, I bought this and it's not working, it's not working, it's not working. And you put the fuel in it and I'm like, do you bleed it? What is that? I don't. And I know people, I have friends that know they need to bleed their elevators. I've told them. And they still don't. And then they're like shocked that it doesn't work. Andre.
Spence,
Yes.
why?
Why what?
Why
Elaborate.
don't people bleed their elevators?
Either because they don't know better, or maybe. But I'm assuming they just don't know better. So I like to assume the best.
Usually, yeah. It's usually
Um,
because they don't know better.
Or they could be
I
lazy
do want to
too.
point out, it's got a good ash. It's holding up pretty well.
How's your ash?
The burn is great. My line is awesome. And so like the technical side, top marks. It's doing very well. But I want to answer the question that Lindsay answered first, as far as like stuff that I found. I want to talk about the label thing. There are cigars that like, if it's got the right kind of label, it's as good as bought. Just because
100%.
that's just how human psychology works. There was I don't really care for Lanceros that much.
So explain to me this then, and be open and honest, dude. So the first time you seen Black Label's label, what did you say?
I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Why? I bought them all because of the label. Literally.
Well, okay, so the first one I saw was the Last Rice. And it looked like it was catering to the big truck with a no fear sticker on the back. And it just, it didn't speak to me.
See, I think that they are, I feel like they're like very well put together because their labels indicate how heavy and strong it is. So I feel like the more aggressive that the cigar is, the more aggressive that the
That makes sense. I don't mind their labels now, like the Viaticum label.
Viaticum label's great.
I dig it.
I really like the
Intergalactic is cute, like that one. I like the royalty label,
The Rorschach label is really cute.
Rorschach, the dissonant labels. You know, it's like they're going for a different vibe altogether.
Yeah.
And now that I like talk to the people online that run there, like Josh and James, and they're all, I get what they're about. I like their social media marketing. They're very aggressive. It's cool. I dig it. But I picked up a cigar in Houston just because the box was modeled after the sweater that the first terrorist to die in Die Hard was the guy with the glasses and the blonde hair and the sweatsuit who was pushed down the stairs. And Bruce Willis wrote on his shirt, "Ho, ho, ho." And the cigar ban was written in that closet, "Ho, ho, ho." And the box said, "Now I have a machine gun, ho, ho, ho." And I was just like, what is that? And I just grabbed it. And turns out it was a custom blend made for the shop. And they did the thing. So
Yeah, that was
it's got a neat little story.
Also, too, what you got, yeah, and also too, you just look at these brands. You know, they have different audiences, different appeals. Like for example, like Black Label, you know, trying to go to a specific
That's
audience,
exactly where I was about to go
Yep.
with it. What was
And,
Black Label about?
and they're going for a specific audience, very niche. Also, to look at and it's building like trying to build a certain brand following, kind of like Drew Estate. Like Drew Estate's the whole like perfect example of like look at how brand following became a big company. Also, too, you look at Fuente, Davidoff, Padron, Tatawahi, they all have their own unique style. Or like another one too, Caldwell, they have this weird like surreal minimalism or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, on their branding. It's all just very like very unique. Like
The Steve Saka stuff has pretty minimalist branding also, but I like it. I really like brands that have their branding that is very authentic to
Yeah.
who the people are.
like look at like Fuente's really cool with that. Like the whole Fuente family line and all that. They have that little crest.
Yes.
It's so cool. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of minimalism. So like, this didn't catch my attention for like a couple months of me working here because I just kept forgetting about it. But yeah, you know, different branding, different crowds, different audience.
I have noticed that the boutique brand cigars that have minimalist labels more often than not are better cigars than boutique labels that have very popular cigars. They're really big things.
Kind of like
brands have
that cigars
opulent
can take all the.
Like, what
Take
would
all the
be a boutique brand that has like an opulent brand? I mean, damn.
She's gonna goog.
Get the goo.
We're gonna goog.
While you're googing, can I
Maybe
try
that's
one of
another-
those? Can I try one of those everything bagel cashews?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's some
God,
snaps. Everything bagel.
dude, let's get
cashew.
sponsored.
John, you need snacks, man? Jeez.
No, dude, look at this.
Okay. I know, right? Okay, so.
It's gonna have one.
I know, but tell me how it goes. Seriously. That's a nut, so tell me how it goes. Cashews are. John loves a nut. Cashews are.
While John is putting nuts in his mouth, why don't you tell us what brand strikes you as just like that money brand where you see you're like, I love it, it's beautiful. You know, let us know because there are brands that I think my father labels. They're nice. They manage to.
So
make it look-
actually, are you set up for our emails? Do you have any questions we get after these things air that I'm answering back?
no, I don't.
Well, you need to get on our message board because there's a lot.
I have a question for y'all. Speaking of bands,
Oh wow.
3 most beautiful like cigar bands, like your favorite cigar bands.
Dude, come on, man. New World, dude.
I love a Godfire Series B.
Come on.
New World.
I love a Godfire.
It's elegant.
I love
It's
a Godfire band. What else?
come on. Really?
Right. You got number 1.
Okay.
God of Fire is awesome. But
Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of the band.
He likes the
Yeah.
New World.
you don't think that's like elegant?
Alex is like a fetish for the Godfire band.
What?
He's like, he's at night, he's like, I'm gonna
He
turn
asked
up the
me
camera,
if
but he's like,
I
he's like,
got a fire band. It's like a glitter.
Oh my God. Well, I would say
I think my father's a really pretty band.
they do. You're right.
I would say God of Fire,
Opus has
Opus,
beautiful bands.
beautiful. Those are 2 just gorgeous bands.
I
And
really like. Okay, this is the minimalist in me. I really like that Godfire. Really cool.
well, I was gonna say one of the things that I did a while
They're
back.
super elegant, especially like the dark ones, like the church candles, like the
I'll tip my hat to them.
Beautiful.
A couple months ago, I asked Esme, she was 5 at the time, asked her to go through all of my cigars and pick the one that was the prettiest. And so we did it humidor by humidor, and I would lay them all out, and I'd have her look at all of them. She'd pick the one that was the prettiest, and she did a really good job, like of picking the prettiest one out of each humidor. And then when she went through all the humidors, we put those together, and then she picked out the one that was her favorite. And y'all want to guess the one that was her absolute favorite out of my whole collection?
It was
God of Fire.
No, it was the Davidoff Royal. She thought that was the prettiest one of all.
She's got some royally good taste.
Because that one they put a lot of great trim work in that one with the blue and the gold and the white together. It is a gorgeous cigar. So out of deference to her, I'm gonna put that as my number 3, the Royal, with the God of Fire and the Opus as the 3 prettiest band jobs. So what do you think, John? Mr. AJ Fernandez?
What are you talking about? I already told you. I think New Worlds, they're just elegant. It's like having a top tier wine or something. You know what I mean? Like I like it.
Okay. What about your other 2?
Reminds me of Crown Royal. Crown.
What a dick. Then of course God of Fire. Yeah, I mean I'm always gonna pick that. Perdermo has some cool ones.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, that's like being put on spot. If I had to go for the top one, it would be New World. I just think it's elegant. I think it's perfect. It's fitting.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about minimalistic,
There you go. Garrett says Opus.
I'm talking about like if you're gonna if you were to frame a band or like if you were gonna epoxy it to the back of your phone or something. Like
oh, that's easy. Cohiba.
All right. So what are your thoughts on this? Weigh in on this as well. This is a good question, everybody. So we all know cigar smokers who save their bands, right? We all save some bands. Some of them save all the bands.
Do that. Come on.
But some people, they like to make crafts. They make things out of their bands. I know Mouton wanted to take some Habano bands and make some
I make crafts
glasses.
all day, every day.
Yeah.
I have a friend, a customer, who actually he he epoxy or glues these cigar bands onto little shot glasses.
Well, there you go. So
He's making one from here.
what do you think about the guys who use like factory smoke bands in their crafts? It's like, dude, why are you making something with that? Like, that's not a
Well, here's
band.
the thing: a factory smoke is a long leaf premium cigar. I mean, I think it's okay to put that on there.
Isn't it chopped? Isn't it chopped?
No, it's not. It's not mixed field.
I swear it was chopped.
I'm pretty sure factory smokes are used chopped.
Um,
Google.
Google.
it's gonna be hard to find the answer for that.
This show with a full package. We got our production booth. We got a research department.
So you gotta understand there's different tiers of like hand rolled cigars. So like typically whenever someone's starting as a tour store, by the way, are people who roll cigars. They start out rolling bundle cigars, which are the cheap, typically less aged, more easy to grow tobaccos. The people who have less experience roll those first. Roll those for a couple of years. And those are the cigars that are $2-3 a stick. You get them in a bundle. It's the type of cigar you like smoke, cut in the grass, or if you're smoking 20 cigars a day or something. That's the type of cigar. And then you kind of move up as the longer you've been rolling cigars, and you roll like $8 sticks, $10 sticks. And basically, you look to as well the sizes as well. So if you look at like a Perfecto or a Torpedo or a Salomon or something like that, that's actually a way of just the tour store showing off. So like you can expect that a Torpedo or a Perfecto or some other weird shape is gonna have the best quality control because the people rolling that have the most experience. So like actually like an example of like actually like a Perfecto or something standing out in flavor. Take that off Anniversario. I know people like a lot of people love the Special R or the Special T, which actually is the Torpedo. But that little Perfecto, the Anniversario Perfecto, wowed me. It was excellent. Brought the flavor.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot here, but I need you to think about your question before you tell us. So the question is, what is something that you would need to know when you're in another person's store and they're trying to interest you in a cigar line that you've never heard of? What is that one thing that you can get him to tell you that will let you know either this is crap or this is quality?
Who makes a cigar? What factory?
Well, if it, I'm assuming like it's
So, like for example, it's common knowledge that San Cristobal is made in the My Father factory, right? Do they have their own factory? Do they pay someone to do it? Is it made by Placencia? So, like the Romeo and Juliets and all that, it's made by Placencia or AJ. It depends. So if they say it's made in the My Father factory, I'm gonna assume it's actually probably a quality stick. Because the way it works, these people go to like Don Pepin and be like, "Hey, I want to make a cigar brand. So here's what I'm looking for." And Don Pepin will keep blending iterations until it's the right one. And so it just depends on what factory is it made in.
That's a good question. Yeah, that's what I wanted to know because I've had that happen to me. And generally, if you're trying to sell me a cigar that I've never heard of, then I'm just not interested, more than likely, because if you are a quality merchant, you're gonna be able to explain why you're trying to sell me what you are. Because like when I go to a store and I say, "Hey, I want you to sell me, something that's off the beaten path, that's amazing," then obviously I'm expecting them to tell me something I never heard of, but I'm going to listen carefully to what they say. But if the first thing they see me when I walk in is, "Hey, let me sell you this cigar you never heard of," then I'm like, "Okay, why are you trying to sell me that?" You're a business, which means your margins must be great. So if you're trying to sell me a stick I've never heard of, you want $16 for it, you probably paid $4.
I'll sip to milk.
And so it's just like not something that I'm going to be interested in. But you guys like Placencia, right?
For the most part, yeah.
So I was able to find a couple 149s.
They're really good.
Amazing.
Very good.
I have a
Amazing.
bunch from back order.
Well, can't smoke them on back order, can you?
So, what do you think has the most minimalistic wrapper that you're just like,
You mean
wow?
Yeah.
You know what I meant, band.
It's a big difference in cigar.
You're right. band that is just like killer? Come on, you should know.
I know. Yeah, he's gonna hate me for this.
Go.
Tatawahe.
I knew he was going to say Tatawahe.
So I don't know what's wrong with your tongue, but
He said, "I don't know what's wrong with your tongue. Your palate sucks."
I don't
but
know.
Tatawahe, I get a lot of complexity out of, a lot of vibrant flavors. Very, very rich cigar with a lot going on. Very well composed. Like maybe I wonder if he may have just 2 bad ones. But like but the thing is,
18 bad ones in a row.
but no, because like if you like Dunbarton, you should like Tatawahe because they're both actually very.
I'm not the biggest fan of Dumbarton. I've been trying because everybody, I see Steve Sacco online all the time talking about how his stuff is just so elite, so top tier. I'm like, well, I actually appreciate this stuff. And I've tried a handful of them. I went and got a Unstolen Valor.
I think some of Steve Sacco's branding is just.
And it's like, I had one of his where I was like, I like this. All the others were just okay.
Like,
You know,
so I think that I've had quite a lot of Steve Sacco offerings at this point, and they've been pretty good, right? Not mind blowing like he claims they are. And I also would say that I have a pretty well curated palette for
Right.
cigars. I've smoked some of the best cigars out there. And I still think his are above mediocre, but not amazing. And one thing I really like about Steve Sacco, one thing that I think he's trying to do is there is a lot of manipulation that happens from the idea that, well, the only reason why I don't like it is because I'm not good enough at this. You know, like people will say, well, you just didn't, that joke was super funny, you just didn't get everything to be done.
So another factor to
And then
consider.
laughing at it.
Another factor to consider is sometimes you might have like inconsistency between boxes. Like for example, so you know the cigar I sold you, the Cojetas?
Uh-huh.
The first box, outstanding. Second box, which actually that's the one I sold you from. I smoked it after you smoked it. It was decent, but it wasn't as outstanding as the first box. Also, I remember the first one I sold you, that Tatawahe Broadleaf. So normally it's a good cigar. But I smoked the last one of that same box that you bought, I sold you it from, and it tasted like it was not aged long enough. So, also too, keep in mind, I mean, that's not a good thing for the brand whenever there's some inconsistency. But for some of these blends, consistency between boxes is also a thing too.
It definitely is, especially if you're moving into like hand roll territory. I also there's a lot to be said for when you take new cigars that you just buy and you have to let them kind of cure a little bit, just rest a little bit. I used to smoke things or buy things and I smoke like that day. And for the most part, if I'm buying for our collection, I don't buy. I'll just let them sit in the humidor for a month or so until they.
Nice. An occasional problem you'll have with some of these brands, especially brands with smaller inventories,
right,
is you're going to have sometimes a problem where they rush production. So a cigar is supposed to age for a certain amount of time after it's rolled, so it can age out the ammonia. I've had 3. In if you ever had a cigar that tastes just sour, awful, or worst case like formaldehyde, like from like high school lab class, that's probably because that cigar was shipped out way too early. Like the worst instance this has happened was actually with a Roma and Juliet, Nicaraguan, Connecticut. I was at another shop and I was gonna try. I wanted to go for Connecticut, so I was gonna try the Macanudo Cafe, and the guy was like, no, you got to try this. It's the first Connecticut made in Nicaragua. I'm like, that sounds cool.
The Macanudo Cafe, is that an infused one?
No, it's not.
Okay, so it's not. I was thinking about the
Desperado series.
maybe. No, is there a cafe infused like a coffee? It's called cafe. What is that called?
I'd have to think about it.
It's
Java?
Never mind. Sorry.
Java.
I was like, it's one of
No.
those-
Java is
That's what I
latte.
could tell.
Yeah, no.
But anyway, so I put it in my mouth. I lit it up, and puffed it, it tasted okay with the puff, but then the aftertaste, I almost like threw up. It was awful. It tasted like chemicals. Looking back, I found out that might have been the case. So I told the rep, and the rep's like, "Okay, I'm gonna have to bring you another one because it does not taste like that." So he brought me another one.
Tastes like bomb.
Which, by the way, this cigar ruined Connecticut for me for like 2 weeks. Like I couldn't even think about smoking in Connecticut because I'm just like, oh. But
PTSD.
But
Post-traumatic smoking disorder.
But he brought me another one, and I took a puff. I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty good. And so it turns out that they probably had rushed production on that. And then I had 2 other cigars that one of them came from a new sampler pack that a company had just released, and it tasted a little sour at the back end. Not as bad, but I'm like, okay, this tastes rushed. So basically, sometimes if that happens, it could be because too you had a rushed cigar. And so the Tatawahe broadleaf that I had from that box, I set it aside because I was selling a few to this guy, and I noticed that one was torn. It was gonna be his first time smoking it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna set aside, sell one for the next box. I smoked it that night, and I'm like, oh,
Still this.
yeah. But that could be a problem too.
All right, gents, we are approaching the end of the middle third. Thoughts?
Well, you're smoking fast today.
I'm not doing as much talking. I'm letting y'all talk.
I'm getting a little bit of cloves out of it.
A little clove.
Yeah, or maybe allspice or
I
something.
agree. A little baking spice on the back end. See, that's what I like about this versus the Tabernacle broadleaf is the Tabernacle broadleaf is more like pepper spice. This is more baking spice, which is
out of the Tabernacle. I get lots of salt out of Tabernacle.
It's
yes.
It's heating up. It's really doing good stuff.
The Tabernacle to me, see, it's like a savory spiciness. This is more like a sweet, desserty spiciness.
Yeah, or like nutmeg.
Did we solve our audio problem, John?
Yep.
I'm on it.
Am I better, Chris? Am I better?
I'll help. How's her mic? Is it picking up? Hello? Is it picking up?
Hello.
Oh, love Spencer.
It's
Thanks,
echoing
Chris.
again.
Love you, Chris. By the way, Chris, you want to tell everyone how you just one upped Alex?
He will forever be known as the man who got the Prometheus cigar first, or the Prometheus lighter first.
Yep. Well, so yesterday, Chris bought one of those Opus 22s that we have, which, by the way, they're already called for. Sorry, guys. But we got the Opus 22 sampler in, and it comes with 22 cigars, 4 boxes, 2 boxes have 5, 2 boxes have 6 of super rare Opus. So I'm talking about Forbidden X. Chris got the one that has an Opus X BBMF in it, which stands for Big Bad Mother Effer.
Yes. Chris, you realize that Alex is going to have a problem with this now, right?
But guess what? Alex is probably going to buy one with a Down Arturo in it, which Chris doesn't have. Well, I mean, that's what I would suggest. And also too, it has 2 Opus Maduros in it, which you don't see in Opus Maduro very much.
I'm very intrigued by the Opus Maduros.
Mm-hmm.
Very intrigued.
I'm sure you are. Very intrigued.
Hey, Chris, let me know how
to the
it
tune of
sounds right
$500.
now.
I just need somebody to like get this shop into some legal issues, and then John can hire me to fix them, and then I can get paid in rare cigars.
And then I can try to see if our mortgage company will take rare cigars.
That's collateral.
It'll be so great. It'll be like, I don't have a mortgage this month, but I do have 4 cigars for you.
Just 4.
Well,
4.
I think the right cigar, they would totally do that. They'd be like, yeah, you can totally live there.
The Gurkha Gold cigar, it's like worth like $1 million.
Whatever.
Probably because there's only one that tastes good, and you have to like play Russian roulette to try to find it.
Whatever.
You pay $1 million and you get all of them ever made in production. You get to find one good one.
It's fine. All right,
It's
so
fine. It's fine.
I'm very active on Twitter. You know, that's my new thing.
He twits.
It's
tweets.
It's so amazing because like you can get access to boots on the ground journalism from all over because people just record on their phones and they upload it to Twitter. And so you can see in real time establishment narratives being shot to hell. And one of the big places where that's happening is in Canada because of the protests.
Yeah, I am shocked. It is so interesting to me. Like every morning I wake up and I check Twitter and I look at, and all I see, like my feed is like consistently Canadian news sources.
Do you know what one of the top trending hashtags today on Twitter was?
Obelisk.
Blackface Hitler.
What?
Blackface Hitler. Because Trudeau is acting like Hitler, but he's got a history of doing blackface. And so they're calling him Blackface Hitler. And what's crazy is that if you just watch CNN or MSNBC, you're not going to know exactly what's happening because they're trying to make it look like Trudeau is doing the right thing by silencing these protesters and getting them removed from Ottawa.
Now, I got to say, we got to be careful when comparing things to Hitler. The reason why is because
they're almost never actual comparisons. They're
Well,
always hyperbolic in nature.
well, what I mean is like Hitler.
sure.
There's a lot of people who did things like Hitler, but didn't actually do the same things as Hitler.
Right. And
Like, for example, Hitler loved dogs. Obama likes dogs. Therefore,
everybody,
Obama's
everybody
Hitler.
compares everything
Yeah.
they don't like to
Yeah.
Hitler, and it's
Yeah.
it's always like.
Mhm.
Personally, I think it takes away from how destructive that World War II was
Mhm. Yeah.
to our human race. When you say everything is akin to Hitler, it kind of
Yeah.
takes away from how actually fucking terrible.
Mussolini was
Hitler
like Hitler, but even though Mussolini was bad, he didn't do the same thing Hitler did.
Right.
You know that Hitler has descendants alive to this day, not direct descendants, but nephews and nieces that have had his name. Can you imagine if like
Just getting born
you
into
take
that family.
you take one of those genealogy tests and it comes back like, hey, you're related to Hitler. You'd be like, yeah, I'm not going to tell anybody that. Can we?
But a lot of people relate to Attila the Hun. A lot of
So
people.
It's fine.
Well, I think what Genghis Khan had thousands of kids because he just knocked everybody up.
All the
Wait, no, yeah,
raping and
Genghis Khan's
pillaging.
something better.
So I think a lot of people, would trace their
All the
heritage back
raping and
to that.
You should be ashamed of what your father did.
I saw a
Right.
picture of a couple of Winston Churchill's relatives smoking Davidoffs because the new Churchill that came out, and I was
That's
like,
not cute.
and they looked like him. I was all like, those guys.
They looked like.
I was like,
him.
why
Were they all
is
bald?
Winston Churchill
Yeah.
looking like he's in modern times? I don't get it. I'm like, oh,
They look exactly like him. It's
CGI.
like,
I was like, where are you gonna smoke your cigar, dude? He's like, we will smoke them in the patio. We will smoke them in the car. We will smoke them over here. We
Anyway.
will smoke them from afar. We will.
While Alex is torturing us, so about these cigars,
Okay.
they have
Sorry.
stayed nicely lit. I only had to purge one time, haven't had to relight. Burn line's pretty even.
Yes, construction-wise,
construction-wise.
fantastic. Garrett says, thanks for letting us know we can't have them. I wanted to actually have them show and tell and like go over and be like, and there's another one you can't have. And here's just because to let you know that's what's out there. So hashtag goals.
Spencer was like,
Like
no,
goals.
I don't want to tempt them and then have them call the shop and think they can buy them. Bug them.
Oh man. Like
Spencer
once
doesn't want to get bugged.
once you hit that level of cigar collecting where you're looking for like the new releases, the limited releases, wow, that's like a serious rabbit hole to go down because there are a lot of
No
companies
joke.
that will do these special limited releases and the stories behind them are always really, really good. And it's just like,
For a
Got to have
lot
it.
for a lot of these limited releases, guys, you have to come to the shop to find out about them. Like I'm gonna share some of these online, but a lot of them too, because it's in such limited quantities, I have to prioritize. The people who walk into our shop. People.
I think no. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that there is. I think that that's wise.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives.
Mhm.
It's
Because there's people who do scalp cigars.
yes, and it's
Absolutely.
absolutely.
People
absolutely there
scalp
is.
opus.
Absolutely, there is, and to me it means something when there is. This is
Mhm.
my shop. I come here all the time. I feel honored that you
Mhm.
like text me with the new releases that are
Mhm.
coming out. I really appreciate that. That shows me that I'm doing something good by
Yeah.
spending my money here.
Mhm.
I'll call a couple of other shops if it's stuff that you guys naturally don't carry, but you guys have been
Yeah.
really good about carrying stuff that we want. And I think that
Yeah.
I think it means something to the people that walk in here to say you don't just
Yep.
sell them to the highest
and
bidder.
and and I appreciate y'all's business too. And so like the thing is like to get Opus, to get Davidoff Year of the Tiger, to get even Liga, I have to sell a lot of non-Liga, a lot of non-Opus Fuente, a lot of other stuff to get there. And so I can't just go around just selling it to whoever. Just say first person who asks. It's like no. I mean, I got to take care of the people who've been spending the money at my shop first. And so like with Placencia Year of the Tiger, which I can only get 8 sticks in one box, 8 sticks, $40 a piece. I'm gonna talk to the people who buy Placencia before I talk.
If you don't talk to me, I swear to God.
Oh, look who's trying to pay her mortgage with cigars now.
I'm not trying to pay him in $600 cigars, Alex. I'm buying one $40 stick.
Which
You're not gonna have one.
But yeah.
Wow, you can buy your own.
Oh,
But yeah, but like you can also you can help me get more opus that I can sell you by buying more Fuente.
I get that.
So the more money people spend on non-rare stuff,
Right.
The more I can sell them nice rare stuff.
Well, I think
And the thing is like you can't make something like opus an everyday smoke. If you do that, it's gonna lose what makes it special too.
I agree.
Yeah.
For sure with that. Like Alex teases me because every once in a while I'll smoke like something extravagant on like a random weekend.
on a Thursday.
Just like a random weekday. And why? Because like that's something that brings me a whole lot of joy. And if I've had a particularly crappy day or whatever, that's something that like gets me through my day and lets me know that like, okay, it's almost over. And then it's like celebration.
I always know when I've been extra spurgy when Lindsay gets home and she lights up an angel share. I'm like, oh.
It usually has nothing to do with you.
Usually.
Wait,
Sometimes it has a lot to do with you.
What does Angelique want?
Angelique wants one, Spence.
Angelique wants one. Okay, so quick question. Favorite stick you've smoked this month? Recently.
This month.
I mean, not like this month specifically, I guess, but like just recently.
Wow. That's just your question. John, you got an answer for that one?
I just told you.
What?
The Spider-Man.
Oh,
one.
the spider?
It just came. So I was like, and then when I tried it, I was like, oh my God, it's good.
Mine was the Blackworks Intergalactic. I really enjoyed that.
Probably
Probably closely followed by that 149. But honestly, I smoked the 149 in like throughout the course of like several different days. So I don't feel like I gave it like a proper treatment.
Man, for me, the last month, I would say that the new Partagas Legata.
Oh, that yeah.
That's it. But I mean, that hasn't even been released. That hasn't even been released to the world
That
yet.
was excellent. Really,
So,
like, very excellent.
We're gonna talk about like non-Cuban stuff.
Correct. That's usually what
The Placencia 149, that was definitely a treat. That was
I
a
was bringing you a Cohiba yesterday, too.
wait. What?
I was bringing you a Cohiba.
Ah, well, you can bring me one again. It's fine.
Wait an hour and a half to try to get over to your house.
Damn. See that one and the God of Fire Anniversario. I think I had that within the last month, maybe. And then the Ashton ESG. That's an amazing smoke. And the Intergalactic is also an amazing smoke. So I would say those stand out as some of the real highlights. I had an Escurio.
I love those, but we have those
Well,
a lot. So like,
Well, you didn't qualify. You said best cigar you had last.
The Oktoberfest cigar.
right. I don't know. Have you had any of those yet? We've collected a bunch of them, but
I did not smoke my own. I just tried.
We need to get that.
I just tried one that Chris had. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to get on the ball about doing that thing for the fire department.
Yeah, we were gonna get a little branded humidor for the fire department. The one that Eli Rubin works at.
So
I like Eli.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
so another so for me,
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, and the Dominicana. Sorry, I forgot I had a Dominicana within last month. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Dominicana.
so for me, it's a little more than a month ago, but one of them was this Fuente rare pink that I had.
Oh my
You had a rare
God.
pink?
Yes.
I was about to ask you for one of
Bitch.
those. What is it? Tell me about it. I've been wanting one so badly.
It's excellent.
Where did you find it?
Oh, so we got them in right when I first got hired here, and so I bought them, and smoked thought it was good, but I just kind of let it sit in my humidor for like a while, and then I remembered that I had it, so I'm like, oh, let me try it. It was so good. Another one too, and Alex, nothing like this. The Tatawahe, I can't pronounce the word, Kojonu or whatever.
Cojones?
So it's delicious.
The broadleaf one, phenomenal. It had a very firm draw, almost like some Cohiba draw, but like had like a lot of rich, vibrant flavors to it, and it was very slow burning. Another thing too to keep in mind with Tatawahe, they use the same band for different blends because Pete Johnson doesn't want to spend money on new bands. So
That's bizarre.
Interesting.
which by the way I do
I don't like to
have them.
differentiate between my differences of cigars. They're all
Yeah.
the same, but all different.
Yeah,
Complicated.
it's interesting, but that one, and then I guess the third one.
Sounds absolutely like it was designed by a man.
I had a dab of Yamasa last week, and
So
And
you guys are just complicated about everything.
I had a dab of Yamasa last week, and even though it
Mm.
kind of was dry, as the one the rep gave me, it was kind of cracked. The flavor was like off the charts. It was good.
It's good.
You understand that's why the rep gave it to you.
He's like, I can't sell this one.
We need to get some reps on this show. Make that happen, Spencer.
I'm working on it.
He's working on it.
Working on
So I got a question on humidors. So I want to know, Spencer, where you fall on the non-climate control electric humidor versus the more artisan wood humidor.
So you mean climate control electric humidor?
Mhm.
Okay. So a few things. First off, so cigars, you got to watch temperature, climate, and airflow. Or sorry, temperature, humidity, and airflow. So first off, you want your temperature to be below 72. You want your humidity to be below 72. Preferably, I like to say 77 or 69, 69. Humidity should be kept between 65 and 72, but I think 72 is almost a little high. But and you want your temperature
especially for down here.
yes, and you want your temperature to be about upper 60s to like 72. If you go, and then also too, you don't want sitting air. Sitting air with above 72 and above 72 temperature and humidity,
A little
it
circulation.
leads to mold. So typically, if it's at a smaller scale, so like 100, 200 cigars, a wooden humidor is great. It looks nice. It looks elegant. And just open it.
It holds all the moisture too.
Yes. It looks nice. It maintains the humidity. Just make sure it's in a room where the temperature is not like consistently too hot. Now, whenever you get to more like a larger scale cigar, especially if you're aging them, you might want to look into a climate controlled one. I mean, they may not look as traditional or like classy as something like a nice wooden humidor, which by the way, they have some nice ones. They're beautiful, but you have less to worry about because you have something that's
Circulating the air.
circulating the air, watching the temperature, watching the humidity. Also, too, if you're storing your cigars in either a big humidor or like a big coolador or something like that, make sure you have hygrometers in various parts of the humidor to make sure it's consistent.
And hygrometers are so cheap.
Yes,
Like those little digital hygrometers.
$20.
It's like, yeah, well, you can get like a pack of 10 on like Amazon for like $20.
I can't vouch for those, but the ones we sell, $20, pre-calibrated. It measures humidity and temperature, and the batteries you can get at like a convenience store.
So at what point, like what cigar collection size would you recommend upgrading to a climate control electric?
I mean, I guess it depends on too how
Over 100.
how frequently you're smoking them. Maybe 200-300. I mean, there's pros and cons to it. So like with the electric one, you also got to worry about your power going out. Also too, you got to make sure that it has a warranty because it's electronic, things break.
Right.
And then also too, you got to have other backup devices to make sure that the readings on that device match up to what it thinks it's doing. So with the wooden humidor, you have more maintenance, so you got to season it first, or you have to season the wooden trays in a coolador too. But you have to season it. You also have to be very, very vigilant to make sure there's no mold growth, because mold growth can ruin your humidor. Like if you have mold growing in the humidor, if you catch it early, it won't be a big deal. But if it starts growing in the wood, only way to get it out, you have to take apart the humidor, let it dry, sand it, alcohol, sand it, put it back together, and reseason it. So for a lot of humidors, it's worth more just to buy another one. But basically, it just depends on your needs. Just a few tips. Open your humidor at least once a week. Just open it, move your cigars around. Second, don't put it under a vent. Don't leave it under a window. And then also too, make sure watch the humidity and the temperature. Okay, it just requires consistent care. And I'll say this: If your humidor is too dry, which that's the other thing, because like if you live in a dry area, it's more of an issue.
Right.
Stay on top of the humidity packs. I recommend humidity packs too, Pavetta packs, for anything under 100, 200, because they maintain the humidity so well.
They really do.
Yeah, it's just whenever you got a big collection, the price starts to add up. If you got 1,000 cigars.
I think also one thing that I really like about
Mm.
humidors in general is the traditional look of
Mhm.
them, and so I don't particularly like unless they are, I guess, climate controlled fashion to look
Yeah.
like one of the older ones. I prefer the just standard humidors, but they do have those Cigar Oasis things that you can
Mhm.
kind of retrofit to make your
Yes. Yeah, the Cigar Aces things, they work pretty well. Now, another thing too to consider, if you want a good quality humidor, you're going to be spending the same amount of money on a climate controlled one, because most humidors, $100, $200 range, they're actually not full Spanish cedar. Because it's actually typically a Spanish cedar veneer with maybe a plywood or particle board, just for the main frame. And the more Spanish cedar you have, the easier it is to control the humidity. So there's nothing wrong with one with the cedar veneer, but it's just not going to hold the humidity as well.
What about rotating cigars? I see people talking about, having to go through their collections and rotate all their sticks.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what would be the protocol on when you need to do that, what size your collection needs to be before that's something you have to do?
Well, you just don't want your cigar sitting in one place for too long, okay? So whether it's one cigar, whether it's 20, whether it's 100, 200, 300, just make sure, you have some cigars at the bottom. Make sure to move them up. Make sure to turn them around. Pick them up for a second, because you just don't want them sitting in the same spot for too long, because whenever there's still air, that's where mold grows.
Well, I've been lucky. I have not had any mold issues on any of my sticks, but there have been guys I know who've had some mold problems.
Also, too, another thing as well, I keep my cigars in the packaging they came in. So some people, I know you take off the cellophane, right? Cellophane makes aging easier because it allows the oils for different cigars to kind of melt together. But also, too, if you have a beetle problem, that's another thing too, beetles. But if you have a beetle or mold problem, cellophane can help contain that.
That's true.
To an extent. Another thing
So
too,
you're saying leave the wrapping.
if it comes with a yes.
Okay.
For most people, unless you're aging and you're like Alex and you're very meticulous about it, I'll keep the cellophane on. Cellophane gives you a little more breathing room. And then also too, beetles are another issue I forgot to mention. Now beetles with most cigars nowadays, especially, are not a big issue, because protocol for most companies before they ship them out to freeze them, which destroys beetle eggs. But some smaller companies, and then also too, Cubans, they don't freeze them. And so
Never mix Cubans and non-Cubans in your humidor.
And so the reason why we have a no Cuban policy for our lockers is because we don't know where those Cubans came from, whether even if they're real or not. But many cigar shops, including us in the past, have had beetles because someone had some Cubans. And so the thing about Cubans too is good Cubans are really good. But also too, keep in mind Cuba doesn't have the best quality control. So you can go to Canada or Europe and you can buy legit Cuban cigars, and you'll find that the consistency in the boxes are terrible. So that's another thing too. And so basically, that's why you got to watch the temperature, especially. If your temperature is over 72 degrees, beetles can hatch. And how do you know you have beetles? Well, if your cigars look like Swiss cheese, that's a beetle.
Yeah, really fast way to ruin a huge cigar collection.
And I have seen some beetles and some beetle holes in some reputable brands too. So that's why you always got to watch the temperature.
Well, Mouton, he's had beetle problems because he gets his stuff straight from Cuba, and he has to freeze his stuff when he gets it. He freezes them, then he rotates them, and then he puts them in his main, in general population, because he doesn't want to have a beetle problem. But I have a number of sticks he'll bring over. He's like, here, you can have these, and they have beetle holes in them. I'm like, I'm gonna play the recorder and smoke it.
Now, some people would ask too, well, what do you do? Let's say, oh, dang, I see some fuzz on the foot of my cigar. or like, oh, I see a beetle hole. What do you do? Well, first, what I would recommend doing is if there's beetles, take all the cigars in that container, put them in a bag, put them in the fridge for about 12 hours, and then put them in the freezer. You want to gently transition it from cooler to cold.
And then transition it back down. So take it out, put it back in the refrigerator.
I'd say leave it for about 1 or 2 days in the freezer, then put it back in the fridge for a day, and then put it back. Now, whenever you do that, you might crack your cigars because the temperature changes.
And that's why the slow transition up and down is so important.
Yes. And then with mold, if you see mold growing on the wrapper, you can just wipe it off. Check your other cigars. But if you see mold in the foot, toss a cigar. Inspect all your other cigars.
Right.
Also, to inspect the humidor. If you see white fuzz on the humidor walls, it's like little white specks, like kind of like mold looks like webs or whatever. That's one thing. Another thing too, look out for like this bluish dust. And this comes from my own personal experience of stuff I've seen. Bluish dust, especially check the corners and the crevices of your humidor, especially if it's a cheap one.
You got me nervous. I'm going to check out my stuff when I get home.
It's going to take 6 years.
And then also too, check the foot. I know Mouton has a black light he uses.
Yeah.
Personally, if you see mold in the foot, I don't know what the health risks are. Okay, I've heard some medical professionals saying I would not smoke it, but I've seen other people smoke cigars that look like they were covered in cotton candy. But
I wouldn't do that.
But I personally wouldn't smoke them if you see it on the foot. I wouldn't, even if you cut it off and say, oh, there's nothing there. Better be safe than sorry. Toss it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like bread, right? If you just by the time that you can see mold on your bread, there's mold spores everywhere.
Yeah. Well, in the foot,
you
yeah.
Just pick it off and you're done. I would assume that's similar with
Yeah.
cigars.
And so like if you see mold in your humidor or mold in there, if you want a quick fix and it's not guaranteed to work, alcohol, rubbing alcohol.
Whiskey, whatever.
Yep. And also too, just isolate the cigars, and the cigars that don't look affected, I would just smoke them soon. So.
It brings me a lot of one thing that is really great.
And also too, if you bought it recently, by the way, call the shop you bought it from.
And tell them they have
Yeah.
mold issues.
And if they don't do anything about it, leave a review. I had one person who knew cigars buy these cigars from the shop or walk around their humidor, and he noticed there was mold, and the guy's like, no, that's plume. But he's like, no, that's mold, and it was all over the cigars in the humidor. Someone like that, a shop like that is not being a good cigar shop. Like, so make sure if you know that a cigar shop is mistreating their cigars, or if the owner is not like, so if you know the owner is selling cigars that are in bad condition or that are affected by mold or beetles and does not care about it whatsoever, leave a review, because people who do not know better, are buying cigars from this person. They should know. They have a right to know. So hold your brick and mortar stores accountable.
Absolutely.
Now, first, if you see something happening, don't go and just put it everywhere. Talk to the person working at the store. Talk to the manager or the owner. But if nothing else happens, make it public.
Garrett just said everyone knows it's plume.
I'll be honest.
I think he's joking.
Yeah, I think he's being sarcastic.
Well, now with plume, I'm still not sure about what plume is. I haven't found any scientific literature validating what people say about plume. What do you think, Alex?
Okay, so it looks like it's all growth of some kind, but the growth that is commonly referred to as plume is not of the same genus as the growth that we call mold. Okay,
So
because
I've noticed that plume, what you've described to be plume, looks more crystally than more fuzzy. Like
That's right.
mold.
That's right, which tells you that the food source that the plume organism is consuming is not the same as the food source that mold uses, because basically what happens is the mold is growing out of the food source. Whatever is providing its sugar source, it's burning that. And so it grows into it and it gets bigger and bigger. The growth that is called plume, people talk about its crystallized oils. I haven't seen any evidence to support that.
The oil's crystallized?
And that's the thing is I don't even know if they do that.
Chemistry degree.
You know, sugars can crystallize. I don't know how
Well,
many
I do
sugars
have,
are.
okay, so I do have some, I do have some cooking oils that crystallize.
So it looks like, you know, whatever is forming the bloom is like feeding off of the oil that's in the wrapper. And so
It seems like it is all a form of decomposition.
whatever it is, it's not the same thing as what we call mold because it doesn't look the same, it doesn't grow the same. But
Now, if it's on the foot, though, it's mold.
it's easy to get them confused. So what I do, and I did it for these two, is when you get your stick, you want to have a nice light source, and then you want to just kind of turn your stick and watch how the light hits it. And if you see a sheen type of effect that looks like microcrystals are reflecting light, that's good. Okay. But mold is going to look like what you expect to see on bread. It's going to have splotches. It's going to follow a pattern. That's not going to be plume. Okay. So
Also, too, if you're buying, if it's fresh from the shop and it's like 2 months old, like if you bought it from the shop and there's nothing on it, and then 2 months later you see something, there's stuff all over it, that's not plume.
Right, plume is, at least what I've discovered to be plume is a lot of my, like my aged
Mhm.
tubos.
Yeah.
When they stay in the tube, I find that those get that crystalline.
Well, you got-
sheen on the wrapper.
You gotta be careful too, because I've actually seen mold in tubos,
I have that.
especially actually not gonna say the brand, so because I don't want to say anything bad about them. But so actually it wasn't Tatuai, no. So one problem I noticed from some companies who ship their cigars in tubes with that cedar in them, because the cedar helps absorb
Right.
moisture. If it comes in a metal container or a plastic container with no wood whatsoever, I've seen mold because you got the humidity just sitting there and it's sitting in a shipping
I
container.
wonder if it's because the metal, it sweats.
Well-
It holds its, it doesn't absorb that moisture. So
There's
it
no
sweats,
sponge, yeah.
right?
And yeah, so I've seen that happen before.
Most of those that I've seen come in cedar lined tubos.
Yes, and that's why it's very good to have cedar line. Yeah,
I believe your RJs have a cedar
They
filler, a little liner inside of it.
do. I guess it's good to have Alex as our cigar guy in the house because his hyper focus means that he goes down and checks the humidors very extremely regularly.
Now keep in mind too, I mean, this can happen from any company and they shouldn't let you reflect. Don't let it reflect the company as a whole because sometimes stuff happens. Actually, you know what, I'll say it. It was actually a Zeno. So the Zeno Grandmaster, which by the way is a great cigar, they used to ship them in these, and it wasn't actually in a tube, it was in a metal can.
Yeah.
And I once opened one up and I'm like, there's white splotched all over it. I'm like, yeah, that's mold. Now, luckily, you know, they have great service and it's a great company. So whenever Garrett, the sales rep, came by, he took it with him and he said, I'm gonna send you a new can.
Well, you also can't, I mean,
Yeah.
there's not a lot that can be done to ensure that storage is going to be perfect while you ship it.
Yeah, that's why I'm a big believer in cedar.
I mean, especially with, yes, that. And then, you know, when you're shipping down here, you all of a sudden have, it could be 100 degrees outside
Mhm.
and super high humidity.
Which brings me to another thing too. Is,
You know, sit in the back of the
which-
truck.
so sometimes some cigars, some brands don't have this problem, others do. Some brands, you'll find that if it's fresh from the truck,
Yeah.
they burn terribly.
I
So
agree.
Fuentes Casacubas, I've noticed this with the Monte Cristos from Altadis, and then also a few other brands too, and also some of Drew Estate stuff like the Undercrowns. I've noticed fresh from the truck, where you know it's been warm and all that, and you got the humidity in there. You light the cigar up, and the cigar takes 3 minutes to light, and then like has an uneven burn. And I don't know if you noticed this, but have you ever had an ash sometimes where you hit it on the ashtray and it just kind of clinks?
Yeah.
I think it's because of too much moisture. So it's a good idea too if it's a fresh cigar, like or a cigar that's freshly shipped, especially if it's like a Monte Cristo or a Monte Cristo especially, non-Cuban. Let it sit in the humidor for a couple weeks, or let it sit out in the open air for like a week or a
So
couple
I've
days.
noticed that some people do dry boxing
Yeah.
before they smoke.
Dry boxing would be a great thing for the cigars.
Right. So, a couple hours before you smoke it, you take it out, dry box it, let it kind of acclimate to
Yeah.
the surrounding.
Yeah, and some companies too, they ship them over humidified because
Just for that reason, so they come down a little bit as they ship.
yes, or they might be shipping to Arizona,
Right.
and so they might have the humidity as like high as cigars can go. But then down here you open up a box and you smoke it, and all of a sudden it's like this isn't smoking right.
Yeah, well, we, there's definitely times where we'll smoke outside, and like, I just cannot keep something lit, because it'll be so humid outside. Or if we're sitting in, a hot tub or whatever, it's like impossible to keep things lit.
That's the challenge, man. Hot tub cigar smoking is
Hot tub
nice,
cigar smoking, literally the worst.
but it's so difficult because
Love it,
you're sitting
hate it,
in this
love it,
this microcosm, this ecosystem of extreme humidity, and
And
cigars
then,
are just
my
like
hands
no.
are like perpetually dry, perpetually wet, and so like I try so hard to get my fingers just on the pan.
If you want to know a good cigar though, that will burn anywhere in any humidity.
Factory smoke,
No, well maybe Padron.
not wrong.
Padrones, just
Like the
my
1000 series?
my experience. No, any of them, even the $9 ones. You can leave it up for weeks, or you could keep it in a really over-humidified humidor, assuming there's no mold. They light and burn evenly all the time. I'm not a big Padron person. Mainly, I find they're good, but I don't find them exciting. But they burn so well.
John, what is our background here?
That's not the background. That's this. That's what's
Yeah.
being heard.
Which also another thing I want to talk about
The drones are workhorses,
Yeah.
though. They really are.
Yeah.
Like I've noticed, above all, probably not above all, but like overwhelmingly, they have amazing construction, super easy to keep lit.
Which another question too, just going off like cigar care forgetting about cigar care for a second. How would you compare it to Davidoff?
Padrones?
Because I have some
Flavor-wise or workhorse-wise?
just the whole experience. Like, because I have some I want to say, but I want to hear what y'all think
The
first.
whole experience, that's not going to be easy to compare. Because I prefer Davidoff's. Although when it's like a really high-end Padron, obviously that's a little bit different. But
Like high-end Padron versus Davidoff.
Oh man,
Because-
there's some difference. See,
Yeah.
what I really like about high-end Davidoffs is that they are impeccable with they have those brighter high notes, whereas Padron is more of a base note cigar all the way around. Like the Padron 50 is, those are incredible cigars,
Yeah.
honestly, but they're like very leather heavy.
Mhm.
Whereas high-end Davidoffs, they're more floral heavy or citrus or those sort of those really, really high notes. I find that Davidoffs just overall are a little bit more
Okay.
well balanced. But
What do you think?
Well, construction-wise, I'm not sure you can really do much better than Padron with the way they burn. I mean, when I did my review for the Padron 50th, I would literally take a puff and then put the cigar down and then write my notes for a while. And when I'd come back, like I never had to restart it. I never had to like what I found so amazing about it was every puff was exactly the same. So you know how when you freshly light a cigar, the puffs are voluminous, they're billowy. They're billowy. Every puff on the Padron is like that. No matter how long. So it's like it never sputters, it never starts to die out. It's just and waiting for you to go. It's awesome. Flavors. I mean, they're. It's like trying to compare a shark and a tiger as far as like who's the biggest badass.
Yeah.
You know, they just do different things. They do it different ways.
shark and the tiger.
They're both amazing at what they do, and so it's hard for me to compare them because there are times where like I'm in a headspace where I need a Padron, or there are times where I need a Davidoff. Now, what I will say is a big difference that I think gives the advantage of Davidoff is Davidoff knows how to appeal to collectors because they're always turning out something limited, something cool, and Padron doesn't.
Yeah.
You
They
know,
really do. That's a great branding technique.
And
And
I find it easy to even forget about Padron because it's like we all know what they've got. They got their different 26s, they got their different 64s, and then they have their family reserves. But that's about it.
once in a blue moon, they'll release something special.
Yeah.
You know,
Now-
they don't.
Honestly, though, because Padron does that once in a blue moon something special, I watch it. I have to have it.
Yep. And now, which by the way, like, I agree. Yes, both of y'all actually 100%. So this is actually something I talk to customers about a lot because one thing I've noticed just selling cigars, Padron is way more popular than Davidoff, and here's
Oh, the
why.
States for sure.
And here's why. Okay, so a lot of Padron smokers who smoke a Davidoff are really disappointed. But here's the thing. So something you got to understand about Davidoff versus Padron is so Davidoff is made for the European market, while Padron is for the American market. Yes.
It's just really.
So-
I mean, that's overall.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly. And so Davidoff,
Food, wine, liquor, everything is. It's made for Europe. It's more refined. It has more high notes.
Yeah.
Here in the States, it's like heavy hitters.
Exactly. And so Padron, I always tell people it's like a hamburger. And I'm not talking about like McDonald's. I'm talking about you go to Grub.
Amazing.
I'm talking about going to Grub or Burger Smith and getting the Wagyu or the Bison burger or something. So it's rich, it's heavy, it's smooth, but it's simple. Okay, it's very simple, I find. While on the other hand, Davidoff is not. I mean, it's rich, but it's not heavy.
Yeah,
It's more like some Italian pasta alla something, or like a very, very nice salad. And the flavors dance on your tongue, right? So Padron is I noticed, especially with the high-end Padrons, I see Padron more as a social smoke. And I noticed that a lot of the Padron smokers, it's kind of like a high-end JFR, meaning it's not tailored necessarily. I mean, it's not exclusive either, but it's not tailored for the aficionado. It's not tailored for someone who's looking to pick out the flavors. Rather, it's for someone who wants a smooth, heavy smoke that can sit back and relax. Which
Say that the 50th,
yes,
I would not recommend it to someone that's just an everyday smoker, and only because it is like way more refined than a regular Padron would be. And I think that if you're just an everyday smoker that's smoking like a Padron 3000 every day, all of a sudden going up to a 50th, I really don't know if you have the.
well, I think it kind
really
of,
appreciate it.
the 50th I think does have a little more refinement to it. Or you're talking about the Family Reserve series?
Family Reserve
the
series.
Family
Yeah.
Reserve.
I haven't had the other 50th, but the Family Reserve. For me, a Padron, I could smoke with in a group of friends and not think about the cigar and just enjoy the experience.
And that
Well-
is one thing that's one thing that I really like about them also. I think about
If-
saying is they stay consistent.
Yeah. If I smoke a Padron by myself, I get bored. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. Now I find that the naturals have a little more nuance to them.
I will agree with you there.
Because
That's why Alex will not agree with us.
well, it depends. From the 64 Maduro, but from 26 onward, the natural. And here's why.
I don't
Maduros.
disagree with you guys because y'all are wrong. That's
Well, Maduros hit their aging prime a lot earlier
Right.
than natural wrappers. That's why you want to age Cubans, and that's why you also never want to age a Liga. Is because
Get real heavy.
well, no, Ligas whenever you age them, they get bland.
Really?
Yes. So
Gotta go smoke our Ligas then.
So with Davidoff, I can smoke a Davidoff or Opus or like Hawaii. I can smoke it by myself and be like, look at this cigar. Padron, I can do it for like 2 minutes and be like, okay, let me pull up my phone and just start scrolling or something like that. And which by the way, there's nothing wrong with either one. They're just different. And so like whenever you said you can't compare them, that's the point. It's like apples to oranges. Because like a lot of people like they go from Padron and it's like, let's see Davidoff. And they're disappointed because they're expecting a Padron. And so that's just something to think about too.
One thing that I've noticed is that out of my local cigar friends, or I would say even my American cigar friends, I see Padron is by far overrepresented with the stuff that when they're taking their photos of like nice cigars, it's Padron. You know, there are some influence from cigar guys on social media that I interact with, and like when they're partying, they're smoking a Family Reserve. That's what they're smoking. I don't see a whole lot of Davidoff representation, but out of my friends across the pond,
There's a ton of
Davidoff, man. It's all the fancy stuff. You know, you'll see a guy smoking a Royal on occasion in the States, but overseas, it's like I see a ton of
I
Davidoff.
think it all goes back to that. And I've seen a lot of people that I really respect their opinion as far as Padrones and stuff like that. And we have, you know, a lot of the same tastes in that. But when they move to Davidoff, it's a little bland for my taste. Well, I think it's because it's difficult to de-escalate your palate when you're used to those very, very, not very strong, but you know,
Very
a
intense.
little
So,
bit.
or like another analogy too, if we're gonna use music for a second, I'll say Patron is like a piano piece from Chopin. It's kind of like
I would say Beethoven, but whatever.
Well, no. Actually,
It's harder than Chopin, all right?
well, I'm talking about more in terms of complexity. While on the other hand, something like a Davidoff would be more like akin to like the fourth movement of Beethoven's Ninth, or would be akin to maybe Bach's one of his Brandenburg concertos or something like that, where there's more complexity going on. While on the other hand, Padron is going to be more like some of the romantic composers, not Tchaikovsky, but more like Chopin or even Mahler or something like that.
Everyone's like Googling the shit out of this right now. They're like, let me go listen to all these.
I think Tchaikovsky would be a fair comparison with
When do you
Padron.
compare them all? You're gonna go listen to like all of the. Like, you're right.
I know.
Like if you want the Don Carlos Anniversario for me is like Bach's Brandenburg Concerto No. 3. Like if I were to associate music with a cigar, that's what the Don Carlos Anniversario would be. Well, the Padron would
Is
be
that what we call it, Fuente Friday? Because it's a Friday.
yeah.
It's two Friday. Is it red? Is it blue?
Wait, what? It's Fuente
Or
Friday.
actually, better yet, Padron would be more like jazz actually.
Okay, I'm losing you.
Anyway, sorry, I'm going too far with analogy.
He's going far there. All right. Well, I'm at my nub. I'm ready to see some reviews here. We went through all of our thirds. John, did you just give up on yours?
No, I've been trying to fix all the echo because I can hear everything now. So
It is echoing.
I'm hearing what they're saying, but it's not as bad as Lindsay's like but I trimmed her completely, so it's like it shouldn't be as bad. But
So
I
I took off the CroMagnon band
Uh-huh.
and was pleasantly surprised by the underband that has also embossment on it, but it has cute little pictures.
So you know the theming for
Oh, and they're caveman drawings, just
Yeah,
like Cro-Magnon. That's I never noticed that
if you
before.
look at the theming for Roma craft, it's actually like a lot of prehistoric humanity.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Neanderthal,
Mhm.
Cro-Mag. Yeah.
So who wants to start off with their assessment of their stick?
You can start. I know you're chomping at the bit for this.
All right. Okay.
They could go to like a comments to me.
I have no problem saying that this was by far the most enjoyable I've ever found a Roma craft stick. The first one I had was the Neanderthal, and wasn't a big fan of it, to be honest. I was excited to smoke because I thought the way it was rolled reflected the marketing gimmick because it's got a flatter cap to
Right.
show the Neanderthal brow. I thought that was really cool. I just didn't care for it all that much. This one, it did get better and better throughout the cigar. As it warmed up, it had really you use roasty to describe the flavor. It has great roasty notes to it.
Multi, I would say.
I still have a malty flavor on my tongue. And the retrohead was very nice. It did not have a ton of complexity though, in the sense of like I was paying attention to totally dissimilar notes as the cigar progressed. So what I look for, what a cigar needs to be to get me to be wowed by it. This didn't do that, but it was enjoyable and I really liked it. And like John was saying, this would be one of those sticks that like I could enjoy in a social gathering at a poker night. I could smoke it and not think twice and have a good time. It's not going to distract me because it's not doing something where I'm like, oh my God, you got to listen to what I got to say here. It's not like that. I thought construction-wise, can't say anything negative about it. I thought the ash held up really, really well. It burned evenly. The only time I had to touch it up was towards the end because it was getting a little even because I was talking too much. But I really liked it. I thought that the primary notes, it had a lot of that broadleaf flavor, but it wasn't dull. It had a nice chocolate coffee finish to it, and I thought it paired with the drink very, very well. I think your sense of like the DNA of a pairing where you have to have something to connect with the cigar, whether it's the floral notes, the citrus, or the coffee notes, or the sweetness, or the peat notes. I think that a cigar like this, you could pair it any number of ways. I think a Scotch would have paired well with it. I think that a bourbon, just a straight bourbon, would have paired well with it. But I really did enjoy this pairing. And as far as a score, I do have to disclaim that when I am scoring a cigar, I don't use a cigar aficionado one where it's like, you just showed up and you didn't explode in my mouth. Here, a 90. I'm not gonna do that. For me, to be a 90 plus, to get into that highest tier, needs to be truly exceptional. You need to be doing better than what everybody else is doing. And this cigar was just doing things very well, but I wouldn't say it was like a superlative example. So I would be comfortable putting this cigar in the 84, 85 range, which to me is high praise, because most cigars, if they are good and not bad, I'm going to put them more at an 80. And so for this one, I did enjoy it, and it did not bore me. That's the number one thing I find with a lot of cigars, especially the Dunbarton sticks, is I've been bored by almost all of them. There was only one that I thought kept me excited to keep coming back to it through each third. So I would put it, capping it at about an 85. But the real big test is, would I smoke it again? And the answer is yes. There are a lot of cigars that we have reviewed where the answer was no. And so, for me, because I'm a flavor chaser, it's got to have something that makes me want to seek it again. And this one did hit that. So that to me is high praise. So I would say about 85. There you go, guys. And if you think I'm wrong in the comments, let me know.
I don't rate anymore. I'm just going to go ahead and not rate things. So I'm going to opt
She's like,
out.
whatever.
I'm going to opt out. I'm just going to be difficult and not rate things. But I agree with most of your sentiments. Construction-wise, it was incredible. No breaking at all, which, I don't know, lately has been kind of a problem for me. I've had very, very expensive sticks just explode on me, and that's really bothersome, especially when I know that it really is not a humidification problem or a problem with our storage. Anyway, I really like the toastiness of it. I think that it brought a lot of complexity to the that chocolate coffee. I think there's a lot of sticks out there that have that sort of chocolate coffee base note to it, but there's not really any complexity to it. It's just like overwhelmingly sweet. I think that toastiness sort of mellowed out the sweetness of it, and you could kind of stick with that base note. I agree that it didn't have any of those really bright high-end notes that I look for when it comes to seeking out cigars. I would smoke it again. It wouldn't be one that I'd be like, there's definitely cigars where I will be like having a bad day, or not even a bad day, just a good day or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, what am I going to smoke tonight? And I'll like seek one thing out. Like I'll come here and I'll be like, I'm looking for just this one specific stick. This probably wouldn't be one of them, but I definitely would smoke it again.
Exactly. All right, Spence.
There you
go. So, the CroMag is a broadleaf, and for being a broadleaf, it's very good. Now, to be honest, typically I don't get a lot of complexity out of broadleaf Maduros.
Right.
Broadleaf Maduros are typically a little simpler. So, I mean, if you want to think about broadleaf, think of Ashen Maduros. Think of the Liga Privada number 9, or the Rocky Vintage 90, or the Fuente Maduro. And so typically you get a lot of those toasty notes out of it. So it tasted like a broadleaf, and it tasted like a very good one, very well constructed. I could taste the Cameroon. You could get a little bit like the Cameroon binder in it too. I smoke a lot of Cameroon, so I can pick that up pretty well.
I've really become excited by those kind of new, more obscure binders and stuff.
Yeah.
I really enjoy
Well,
those. They bring a little bit more complexity.
Typically, Cameroon is a wrapper leaf, not a binder leaf. So,
Right.
like, think of the Fuente, Don Carlos, the 858 Natural, Rocky Patel vintage 2003, I think.
Yeah, that's the Cameroon.
So yeah, so you can taste it. It's a very good cigar. If I were to rate it, I'd probably give it for what it is. Like, I wouldn't compare it to like an Opus because it's totally different. But for what it is, I'll give it like an 88 or 89.
It also has a very good just sort of
Mhm.
mouthfeel afterwards. Like, I'm done smoking mine, but it have like a good
Mhm.
flavor in my mouth.
Yeah.
It wasn't exceptionally oily, like not on the
It
lips,
was not,
but it has a
no.
good mouthfeel to
It
it.
wasn't, but there is a little bit.
What about you, John? You got any comments you want to add?
No, you guys hit everything. I'm going to go with you.
We're
It's
just-
like an 85.
All right.
It's going to be.
Well, thanks for watching the show, guys. We always appreciate support. We love getting good comments. Makes our job that much easier. We're going to be having Austin Green on the show. He was supposed to be on today, but something came up. He had to give his mom a ride, so we're going to reschedule him. And of course, as always, if there's anything specific you want us to review, let us know, and we'll try to accommodate you because we love doing this and putting on the show for you guys. And until next time, we're the Gentleman, the Scholar, and keep it smoky, everybody. Okay.
Are we?
I'm kidding.
Possibly so. Okay.